Introduction: The power of silence. Have you ever noticed how some people just can't stop talking? Every little problem, every big idea, every drama in their life, they broadcast it like a radio station that never shuts off. Whether it's at work, in the barbershop, at the hair salon, or all over social media, they're spilling their thoughts to anyone who will listen. And the worst part, they keep asking everyone and their neighbor for advice. What do you think I should do? If you were me, what would you do? Do you think this is a good idea? Next thing you know, they've gathered 20 different opinions, each contradicting the last. And now, they're more confused than when they started. But here's the truth. Sometimes, you just need to shush. Not every problem needs a panel discussion. Not every thought needs an audience. And definitely, not everyone needs to be in your business. Why do we overshare? Let's be honest sometimes. Talking too much is a defense mechanism. We overshare because we seek validation. We fear making mistakes. So, we gather opinions like a squirrel gathering nuts. We want sympathy. Sometimes, we just want to hear, "Yeah, you're right." But the problem is, too much input leads to confusion and worse. It exposes you to unnecessary negativity, judgment, and even sabotage. Ever had a great idea, shared it with someone, and suddenly, they start poking holes in it? Or you confided in someone about a problem, only to hear it repeated somewhere else. This is why silence is power. What this book will teach you. This little book isn't about telling you to become a mute monk. No, no, no. It's about knowing when to speak and when to stay quiet. By the time you finish reading, you'll understand why keeping quiet can protect your peace and clarity, how to avoid the trap of too many opinions, when to speak and when to just shut up and work on your plans, who you should actually take advice from, how to build confidence in your own decision-making. Silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. It's knowing that your words, your plans, and your struggles don't need to be public information. So, if you're ready to stop talking so much, start thinking more, and make moves in silence, then keep reading. This might just be the best conversation you never have. See link in bio for full information about the full book. Easy and quick read, people. Chapter 1. Too many cooks spoil the pot in your sanity. The recipe for confusion? Imagine this. You're in your kitchen, feeling inspired. You've got a big pot of soup bubbling on the stove, just how you like it. You add a pinch of salt, a little pepper, and some thyme. It's coming along beautifully. Simple, balanced, perfect. Then, just as you're about to let it simmer, here comes your neighbor, walking in. You need more salt, they say, peeking into your pot like they're a 5-star chef. All right, fine. You toss in a little more salt. But before you can even stir, your cousin strolls in. Yow, that's too salty now. Add some water. So, you add water to balance it out. Then, your best friend decides to chime in. This soup too plain, man. Drop in some dumplings. Okay, why not? You roll up some dumplings and throw them in. But now, here comes your coworker, shaking their head. No, no. Dumplings make it too thick. You should take them out. And now, just as you're debating whether to fish out the dumplings, your auntie stops by. You never put some pimento in there. That's why it's not smelling right. Now, let's pause for a second. What started as a simple, well-seasoned, perfectly fine pot of soup has now turned into a confused, overcooked mess. Too salty, too watery, too thick, too complicated. And worst of all, it doesn't even taste like your soup anymore. The same thing happens with your life. This is exactly what happens when you tell too many people your business. You start with a simple plan, goal, or issue. It could be thinking about changing jobs, planning to start a business, deciding to invest some money, having relationship issues, considering moving to a new place. At first, you're clear on what you want to do, but then you start asking for opinions, not just from one or two people, but from everyone. And that's where the confusion begins. That's a good idea. Go for it. No, that's too risky. Stay where you are. Why would you do that? Do this instead. I heard someone tried that and failed. Well, I wouldn't do that, but you do you. You should have done this years ago. It's too late now. Now, your once clear decision is clouded with doubt. Your confidence is shaken. You're second-guessing yourself. And the worst part, you're stuck. Instead of moving forward, you're now running in circles, trying to balance everyone's advice, opinions, and criticisms. Why? Too many opinions are dangerous. The problem with taking advice from too many people is that everyone has different experiences. What worked for someone else might not work for you. People advise based on their fears. Someone afraid of risks will always tell you to play it safe. Someone who failed at something will tell you not to try it. Not everyone wants to see you win. Let's be real, not everyone giving advice actually has your best interest at heart. Some people don't want to see you succeed. It weakens your own decision-making skills. If you always rely on others to tell you what to do, you'll never trust yourself. It delays action. The more opinions you gather, the longer you take to actually make a move. The lesson: cook your own soup. Here's the thing, you are the chef of your own life. Not everyone needs to be in your kitchen. Not everyone needs to taste your soup. And certainly, not everyone needs to add ingredients to your pot. When it comes to making decisions, trust yourself first. You know your situation better than anyone else. Limit advice to people who are qualified. If it's a financial decision, ask a financial expert, not your broke friend. If it's a legal issue, ask a lawyer, not someone who watched a courtroom drama last night. Filter out unnecessary opinions. Not every opinion is valid. Learn to listen without absorbing. Know when to stop talking. The more you talk, the more opinions you invite. Sometimes, it's better to move in silence and let your results speak for themselves. Final thought: keep your pot covered. If you leave your pot uncovered, flies will get in. If you leave your plans, dreams, and problems too exposed, unwanted opinions, negativity, and distractions will get into. So, next time you're about to spill your business to the world, ask yourself, do I really need all these cooks in my kitchen? Or should I just trust my own recipe and cook my own damn soup? Chapter 2. Noise confuses. Silence clarifies. Drowning in opinions. Ever felt like your mind is an internet browser with too many tabs open? You start off with a simple question: what should I do next? And before you know it, you've got 15 different opinions, 10 conflicting ideas, and a whole heap of doubts you never even had before. This is called analysis paralysis. When you get so much information, so many opinions, and so many perspectives that you freeze up, unsure of what to do. One person tells you, quit your job and start a business. Another warns, no, that's too risky. Stay where you are. Then someone else chimes in, why not go back to school instead? Now, instead of making a decision, you're sitting there, staring at the ceiling, overthinking every possibility, feeling even more lost than when you started. And the worst part, the more you ask, the more confused you get. Start the business? But what if I fail? Stay at my job? But what if I miss a big opportunity? Go back to school? But what if it's a waste of time and money? Your brain is now running in circles, overloaded with opinions, and instead of taking action, you're stuck. Too much noise, too much input, too much stress. Why noise creates confusion. We live in a world where everyone has an opinion, and thanks to social media, advice is everywhere. One TikTok video says, quit your job and chase your dreams. Another post says, be realistic, stay in your niche. A YouTube guru shouts, if you're not an entrepreneur, you're wasting your life. Meanwhile, your auntie says, government work is the safest thing. Get a pension? It's like standing in the middle of a marketplace where everyone is shouting different things at you. No wonder your head feels like a spinning top. And the real danger, too much external noise drowns out your own voice. When you keep seeking outside opinions, you start doubting your own intuition. You lose sight of what you truly want and start living based on other people's fears, experiences, and perspectives. The power of silence. Now, imagine this. Instead of running to 20 different people for advice, you shush for a moment. You sit quietly with your thoughts. You block out all the noise and focus only on yourself. Suddenly, your mind isn't cluttered. Your thoughts become clearer. You start listening to your own intuition instead of everyone else's opinions. This is the power of silence. When you stop talking so much, when you stop constantly seeking validation, When you take time to think for yourself, you begin to find answers within. It's not that advice is bad, it's just that not all advice is useful. Some advice comes from people who don't understand your journey. Some comes from people projecting their own fears onto you. And some comes from people who just love to talk, whether they know what they're saying or not. But your intuition, your gut feeling, your inner wisdom, that comes from experience, self-awareness, and deep reflection. How to cut through the noise and gain clarity. So, how do you stop getting lost in too much advice and start thinking for yourself? 1. Limit who you share with. Not everyone needs to know your business. Before you ask someone for advice, ask yourself, do they have real experience in this area? Do they have my best interests at heart? Are they giving me wisdom or just an opinion? If the answer is no to any of those, keep it to yourself. 2. Take a step back. When you feel overwhelmed, take a break from gathering advice. Give yourself quiet time to process everything before making a decision. Sometimes, the answer isn't missing. It's just buried under too much noise. 3. Listen to yourself. First, before you seek advice, ask yourself first, what do I truly want? What makes sense for my life? What decision feels right in my gut? Oftentimes, we already know what we want. We just don't trust ourselves enough to act on it. 4. Be comfortable with not having everyone's approval. Not everyone will agree with your decisions. That's fine. You don't need a committee to approve your next move. You don't need a vote to decide your next step. Make your decision, stand by it, and move forward with confidence. Final thought, protect your peace. Not every thought needs to be spoken. Not every idea needs to be shared. Not every problem needs to be discussed with 10 different people. Silence is your friend. Clarity comes in stillness. So, next time you feel overwhelmed by too many opinions, do yourself a favor. Shush. Breathe. Think for yourself. You'll be surprised how much clearer things become. Chapter 3. Seek the right advice, not random opinions. Advice versus opinions. Know the difference. Let's be real sometimes. You do need help. Nobody has all the answers, and there's no shame in seeking guidance. But the key is where you get that guidance from. Because not all advice is created equal. Some advice comes from experience. Some advice comes from knowledge. And some advice, well, it comes from people who just love to hear themselves talk. The problem is, a lot of us don't know how to tell the difference. So, we end up taking advice from the wrong people land that can cost us time, money, peace of mind, and even opportunities. Think about it like this. Would you take financial advice from someone who's always broke? Would you ask someone in a toxic relationship for relationship advice? Would you go to someone who's never started a business for business advice? Of course not. Yet, people do this all the time. You have a big life decision to make, and instead of seeking wisdom from someone qualified, you ask your nosy neighbor, your always broke cousin, or your friend who has an opinion on everything, but expertise in nothing. Why? Because they're available. Because they're willing to talk. Because it's easier. But the truth is, random opinions are dangerous. If you wouldn't trust them to manage your money, handle your legal issues, or guide your future, then why take advice from them? The danger of taking advice from the wrong people. Bad advice is worse than no advice at all. Why? Because bad advice can set you back, mess up your plans, or even make you doubt yourself when you were originally on the right path. Let's look at a few real-life examples of what happens when you take advice from the wrong sources. 1. Financial advice from the financially irresponsible. You're thinking about investing some money, maybe starting a business, buying a property, or just saving for the future. You mention it to your cousin, who never has money, always complains about being broke, and has never invested in anything in his life. And what does he say? Brethren, a waste of time, that. People lose money all the time doing that kind of thing. Just enjoy life, spend what you have, and live. Now, instead of taking action, you hesitate. Maybe he's right. What if I lose money? Meanwhile, your cousin is still broke, still struggling, still taking the same shortcut that always leads to nowhere. Moral of the story: don't take financial advice from someone who can't manage their own money. 2. Legal advice from people who just watch courtroom dramas. You have a legal issue, a contract dispute, a business deal, or even just a question about your rights. Instead of talking to a lawyer, you call up your friend who watches a lot of crime shows, and here they go. Nah man, don't sign that. You ever watch Suits? This looks like a setup. I read somewhere that, pause, why are you taking legal advice from someone whose only experience with the law is watching TV? Bad legal advice can cost you big-time lawsuits, fines, even jail time. So, when it comes to legal matters, always go to a professional. 3. Relationship advice from someone who's in a messy relationship. You're having issues in your relationship, so you decide to vent to your friend who, by the way, is in a toxic, drama-filled relationship. And what do they tell you? Me wouldn't stand for that. Me would've just move on and done. Man, a man. You saya trust none, a dem. Now, instead of finding real solutions, you're taking advice from someone who hasn't even figured out their own relationship. A broken compass can't give you directions. If you need real relationship advice, go to someone who's been in a healthy, successful relationship, not someone who is bitter, toxic, or still repeating the same cycles. How to identify the right people for advice. So, how do you filter out the noise and make sure you're getting advice from the right people? Here's a simple rule. Only take advice from someone who has what you want. Want financial success? Talk to someone who is financially stable. Want a healthy relationship? Talk to someone in a strong, healthy relationship. Want to start a business? Talk to someone who has successfully built a business. And most importantly, avoid people who give advice based on fear, negativity, or just their personal opinions. When to trust yourself instead of seeking advice? Now, here's something a lot of people don't talk about. Sometimes, the best person to give you advice is you. There's nothing wrong with seeking expert guidance, but there's also nothing wrong with sitting down, reflecting, and trusting your own instincts. You know your situation better than anyone else. You know what feels right in your gut. You know what will bring you peace. So, before running around asking for everyone's input, take a moment to think deeply about your situation. Weigh the pros and cons for yourself. Trust your ability to figure things out, because at the end of the day, it's your life, your choices, and your consequences. Final thought, choose your counsel wisely. Not every voice deserves your attention. Not every opinion deserves a response. Not every advisor actually knows what they're talking about. So, the next time you need guidance, ask yourself, am I seeking wisdom or just collecting opinions? Choose wisely, because the right advice can elevate you, but the wrong advice can set you back years. Chapter 4. Learning to trust yourself. You know more than you think. Ever notice how quick we are to second-guess ourselves? We hesitate. We overthink. We ask for 5 different opinions before making a simple decision. But here's the truth. You already know more than you think you do. You've faced challenges before. You've overcome struggles. You've made good decisions. So why doubt yourself now? We live in a time where everyone is looking for validation from friends, family, social media, even random strangers. But the truth is, not everything needs outside approval. Sometimes, the best thing you can do is trust your gut, make your decision, and move in silence. Why we struggle to trust ourselves. If we've been making decisions all our lives, why do we suddenly struggle with self? Here are a few reasons. 1. Fear of making the wrong decision. Nobody wants to mess up. Nobody wants to fail. So, instead of deciding for ourselves, we ask everyone else what to do, hoping someone will give us a safe answer. But here's the reality. No decision is 100% guaranteed to be perfect. Every choice in life comes with some level of risk, but that doesn't mean you should be afraid to decide. Even the wrong decision can teach you something valuable. 2. Too many opinions cloud our judgment. The more people you ask, the more confusing things get. One person says go left. Another says go right. Someone else says don't go at all. Before you know it, you're stuck, not because you don't know what to do, but because you've allowed too many outside voices to drown out your own. 3. We're conditioned to seek approval. From a young age, we're taught to seek validation approval from parents, teachers, friends, and society. Are you sure that's the right choice? What will people think? Maybe you should ask someone before doing that. And while guidance is good, Constantly seeking external approval makes us doubt ourselves. We start believing that someone else knows what's best for us better than we do. But guess what? Nobody knows your life, your struggles, and your goals better than you. How to strengthen your self-trust. The ability to trust yourself is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Here's how you can start believing in yourself more and relying on outside opinions less. 1. Pause. Take a breath before reacting. When faced with a challenge, don't panic and react immediately. Instead, pause. Take a deep breath. Give yourself time to process before jumping to ask someone else for advice. Many times, the answer becomes clear when you give yourself space to think. 2. Think, weigh your options without outside noise. Before running to others for advice, sit with yourself first. What are your options? What are the pros and cons? What do you truly feel is the right move? Sometimes, we already know what we want to do, but we look for outside validation because we're scared to trust ourselves. But real confidence comes from making a choice and standing by it. 3. Act. Make a decision and move forward. Once you've thought things through, act on it. Stop waiting for someone to give you permission. Stop overthinking and delaying. Stop asking the same question to different people, hoping to get an easier answer. Make your decision and move forward with confidence. Not everything needs validation. In a world where everyone shares everything, their wins, losses, struggles, and thoughts, it can feel like we're expected to do the same. But the truth is, not everything needs to be shared. Not every problem needs an audience. Not every decision needs approval. Not every thought needs to be spoken. Sometimes, the best thing you can do is trust your gut and handle things quietly. There's power in silence. There's wisdom in keeping things to yourself. There's freedom in knowing you don't need anyone's validation to move forward. So next time you feel yourself doubting, asking too many people for advice, or overthinking a decision, pause. Think, act, and most importantly, trust yourself. You've got this. Silence is strength. Conclusion: in a world where everyone is talking, posting, and constantly oversharing, there's something incredibly powerful about those who move in silence. The noise around us is deafening, right? Social media feeds filled with opinions, advice, personal updates, and everyone's 2 cents on everything. It can feel like we need to add our voice to the mix to keep up with the constant chatter. But here's the truth. Not every idea needs to be announced. Not every problem needs to be publicly discussed. Not every thought needs to be shared for validation. Sometimes, the quiet ones have the loudest impact. The people who don't need to announce their every move, their every thought, they're often the ones who are quietly making the best decisions and achieving the most success. Silence isn't weakness, it's power. Let's flip the script. We've been taught to believe that silence is a form of weakness, that if you're quiet, you're hiding something, or that you don't have an opinion. But the reality is, silence can be your greatest strength. Think about it. The loudest person in the room doesn't always have the best ideas. In fact, they're usually the ones who are more focused on being heard than on listening. The person who can sit back, observe, and wait for the right moment to speak, they're the ones who truly know how to make an impact. In today's world, we often mistake constant talking for confidence. But sometimes, the most confident people are the ones who don't need to shout. They know that what they have to offer is powerful enough to stand on its own, and it doesn't need to be validated by constant noise. When you learn to move in silence, to keep things to yourself and trust your own judgment, you'll find that the noise around you loses its grip on your decisions. You won't be swayed by other people's opinions because you'll have the confidence to trust your own. You'll cut out the unnecessary distractions and focus on what truly matters: your growth, your peace, your path, making better decisions, reducing stress, and living true to you. When you stop seeking constant validation from others and start relying on your own judgment, you'll make better decisions. Here's why. You don't have to worry about conflicting advice from people who have no understanding of your goals or values. You won't get caught up in comparison to others or second-guess yourself based on what someone else said. You won't get distracted by the noise of everyone else's opinions and ideas about what you should be doing with your life. By embracing silence, you're also embracing clarity. You're creating a space where you can think for yourself, make decisions based on what's best for you, and move forward with confidence. And here's the most important part. You'll be living a life that's true to you, not the version of yourself shaped by the advice of well-meaning friends or strangers. Not the life you're living because it's what society says you should want, but a life that reflects your own values, your own dreams, and your own truth. So, next time you feel the urge to talk, ask yourself, do I really need to say this? Or is this a moment to just shush? Not every thought needs to be spoken aloud. Not every opinion needs to be shared. You don't have to explain yourself to anyone, and you definitely don't have to overshare to feel validated. If you feel the urge to spill everything to everyone, just take a moment to pause. Reflect on whether your words are truly necessary, or if the situation is better served by your silence. Moving forward, keep some things to yourself. The most powerful thing you can do is master the art of silence. This doesn't mean being secretive or closed off. It means knowing that there's strength in being discerning about what you share and who you share it with. It means understanding that not every thought needs an audience, and not every problem needs a crowd to fix it. By choosing silence, you're choosing clarity. By trusting yourself, you're choosing power. And by walking confidently in your own path, you're choosing the life that's truly yours. So, the next time you feel the urge to speak, to explain, or to share your struggles with the world, remember this. Sometimes, the best thing you can do is say nothing at all, and let that silence speak louder than words ever could. Now, go forth and move in silence. Handle your business, trust your journey, and keep some things to yourself. Your strength lies in your quiet confidence, and the world doesn't need to know everything you're doing.